you were talking about some of the countries that are just extremely challenging, and some of them I could just like Russia. Yeah, obviously that's going to be challenging right now. But when you have a country like Hong Kong and India, you know, I mean, just from the outside world, I would think that that shouldn't be as challenging. Can you shed a little bit of light on that?
Yeah. So every country has its own regulations, both based in their basic import regulations, so their legislative side, and their compliance side, which is license and permit certifications. And then, there's an extra layer that comes in certain countries, which are, economic and Federal Reserve issues, so some countries restrict imports for security, other countries restrict imports because they are protectionist economies, or some other political or economic factor that makes imports difficult. So when going into a country like India, they've got, for example, very, very strong Reserve Bank rules with who can be an importer, how you can import, how to manage the finances around an import, how to take title of goods in and out of customs, and in and out of the country itself. So that makes importing inherently very difficult in a country like India. The onerous processes that are presented to a potential importer are almost insurmountable for the average company who does not know exactly what they are doing. Now, over and above that, simply becoming an importer is difficult, but over and above that, they have a very strict regulatory landscape when it comes to importing servers. For example, there's one set of legislation. When there's if you import in routers or wireless devices or security devices, there's another set of import regulations. So say you have a bill of materials and you're deploying into a country like India, you now have security devices, you have servers, and you have switches, and you have all sorts of different devices in there that are all triggering different regulatory requirements. You need to understand them in detail to establish what is your plan in order to, overcome those regulatory, roadblocks. So you need a lot of experience to do that. You need personnel on the ground. You need a track record, which, it's kind of like a chicken and an egg situation. How do you import if you've never imported before? Customs are going to come to you and say, oh, well, you've never done this before, so we don't trust you. They're going to make it a whole lot more difficult. So going through the TecEx process, we have the track record, we have the registrations, and we make it a seamless process from the client side. But what makes a country like India difficult is that both the economic, restrictions they place on who can be an importer and how to become an importer, and then there's an added layer of, a regulatory requirement around licensing and permits. And the same goes for a country like Hong Kong. They focus on security requirements. So you have to get very strict security, trade and industry department licenses in order to import things that you would think are fairly simple, So that sort of landscape exists in every single country around the world. Even countries that seem easy and seem like they are pro-business could be super difficult to import into, and vice versa. Some countries that seem hard might, be simpler. And many countries also have very outdated import legislation. So their import legislation was not designed for companies who are building a data center. They do not account for the type of hardware and the type of deployments that your customers are essentially trying to achieve. So trying to navigate an import process that was not designed for your type of shipment creates a major practical challenge, and not many companies can overcome that. So these are the types of factors that make an offering like TecEx is so attractive, because we've solved this problem in 200 plus countries around the world, and our clients get to just benefit from that experience.